You're watching and listening to Hoop Talk on Mamma Mia. This is Fire Talk with Nicholas Fiore. Welcome back, everybody, to Mamma Mia. This is Fire Talk. I'm Nicholas Fiore, the host of the show. And today on Hoop Talk number 3 and episode number 53 of the show, I have a special guest. It's Jack Armstrong, Toronto Raptors broadcaster in the NBA, and of course on TSN for NCAA college basketball analyst. Jack, thanks for coming on. I really, really appreciate it.
Nicholas, my pleasure. Glad to be with you.
Absolutely. I know I had your colleague, your friend Matt Devlin on the show a few months ago, and I know he talked to you and hooked this up. So I just want to give a shout out to Matty D. And I know you're busy. I know, especially during these COVID times and the season in the midst of it. So I really do truly appreciate you taking the time.
My pleasure, Nicholas. Glad to be with you.
Absolutely. So let's get into it right away. Obviously, you're with the Toronto Raptors. You're obviously on the broadcast. It seems like for a long time now with the Raptors, but also with TSN, especially during the March Madness. And obviously, we're into March now, and I'm going to get to your pick later on, your dark horse later on. But you know how crazy has it been through all these years to be with the Raptors and through the championship run? And just how you got to where you are now in the Canada, Ontario, TSN landscape.
Well, it's been an amazing journey. I've really enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun. Been really, really fortunate and blessed. This is my 24th season calling Raptor games. It's been a long run with TSN. They've been great to me. Done the NCAA tournament for a long time on TSN, my entire time with them, and prior to that, when I was with Sportsnet. So it's been a joy ride, really. And I love the game of basketball. I love being around people that have passion not only for basketball but for sport in general. And people are really driven, motivated, energetic, fun. And so I went from coaching into this. So this is my 24th year doing it. I've really enjoyed it. And I'm glad that I made the transition. Nicholas, I never thought in a million years that I would be doing this for 24 years. I thought that I would get back into coaching a year or two after I left and got into broadcasting. But here I am still doing it. And not looking back. I don't think I'd ever want to coach again. If I ever coached again, it would be, coach a sixth grade team or something like that, just for the fun of it. But the idea of coaching at a competitive level anymore, to me, is something that I don't have any desire for. So I really enjoy what I do. I have fun with what I do. And I'm really fortunate to work for some amazing people in MLSE and TSN.
You mentioned obviously the coaching career with Niagara University, the head coach there, named New York State D1 Coach of the Year in the 92-93 season. How much did you enjoy the coaching aspect though? Because obviously when you're in basketball, I've noticed from, you go either coaching or broadcasting or broadcasting back to coaching. You're there from 89 to 98. So you were there a while. How much did you enjoy your time in the coaching landscape?
Well, I spent 4 years as an assistant coach at Fordham University, 2 years prior to that as a high school coach in New York at Nazareth High School, then a year as an assistant at Niagara, and then 9 as a head coach. So I had 14 years as a Division I coach. And, so it was a really difficult transition because I didn't want to leave coaching. But nonetheless, when they say sometimes life takes a wrong turn in the right direction, and I was really lucky that at that time, the Raptors had an opening for a radio analyst job. They hired Chuck Swirsky and I at the same time. And Chuck and I worked together and had a great time together for 10 years. And now I've worked the last 14 years with Matt Devlin. And obviously, I've done radio for a long, long time as well. I worked with Paul Jones when I did radio. I just do TV now. But so I've had some incredible people to work with, and So, I was lucky in 1998 that just at that moment, the Raptors had an opening. I was the local coach in the area, Division I coach. And they were crazy enough to hire me. And here I am 24 years later. So I love what I do. I'm having fun with it. There's been a lot of tremendous memories. There's been ups and downs and everywhere in between. But to see the game of basketball grow like it has, to be part of that movement per se, and spreading the gospel of basketball across Canada and getting young Canadians turned on to the sport. And when you look at the fact that Canada's number 2 in the world in representation in basketball, and it's the fastest growth sport in Canada right now, I'm just a little caraway seed in the bakery of life, and I'm just really thrilled that in some way, shape, or form, if I've even gotten one person in Canada excited about the game of basketball, the Raptors, or whatever it may be, then I feel like I've done my job.
Well, Jack, I think you get them excited because on the broadcast, we hear your catchphrases. It's either a bonjour or it's a hello or it's a get that garbage out of here. And all those little things that do honestly make the broadcast and make a broadcast. And of course, other little things that go along with it. Where do those catchphrases come from? Was it on the top of your head type of thing?
Well, a lot of it's just complete improv. I like the pressure of live TV, quite frankly. I don't like being scripted. I don't like knowing what the questions are going to be beforehand. Because if I can't answer them, I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing, So I just, bonjour, obviously Chris Boucher, he's from Montreal. So hello, I say hello. So bonjour was just a natural take. I think that's the only French word I even know. Or merci, I guess it would be merci, bonjour. And then get that garbage out of here. You grow up in the schoolyards of Brooklyn, guy blocks your shot or you block someone's shot. You say, get that blank and blank out of here. Obviously, it's a family show. I cannot remember how many years ago it was or where it happened. I just remember a Raptor player had a great block. And I was about to say, get that blank and blank out of here. But that would not have been a good thing on live national television. So I just said, I blurted out garbage. And our director at the time, Troy Clara, who's now the director of the Toronto Blue Jays broadcast, he pressed the button in the truck. He said, Jackie, that's pure gold. I love it. He goes, you got to use that on block shots because I love it. So that's how I got there. And then hello was kind of like, and I'm not trying to offend anybody. Growing up in Brooklyn, you're in the schoolyard, whatever, a pretty girl walks by and you'd go, hello, like, wow, I'm impressed. So I've kind of used the hello thing. When I see a play that really impresses me, I go, hello. And, bonjour is kind of when it happens with a Chris Boucher or Ken Birch or whatever. And other times I just blurt it out because I don't know what I'm saying. And then all the other stuff is just complete improv, like buckets and, we've had so many Snickers and Bacardi and all these, all the different sponsors we've had over the years, BK and, whatever. I mean, so much of it is just kind of, I'm in the moment. I'm kind of lost in the moment and I just blurt something out. So hopefully I'm not making too much of a fool of myself.
No, we love it, Jack. We love it. And let me tell you something. I know you love when Matty D goes low for the movies, the movie theater, when he does that. That's amazing. I'm telling you, I had Matt, when I had Matt on the show, shout out to him, obviously, for hooking this up. And I truly do appreciate it dearly. And I had him on and he just said, it's almost easy. When you have a relationship and a partnership like yourselves, it's just fun. You go and do a broadcast, but you just almost finish each other's sentences. How great of a colleague and friend is Matt Devlin to work with night in and night out?
Well, I'm blessed because I've had that in all three instances in Toronto with Chuck and obviously with Jonesy on the radio and with Matt. I mean, Matt's been my longest partner of anyone in Toronto. And Matt's a dear friend of mine. You know, we go out to dinner together quite a bit on the road. We sit together on the charter. We talk constantly about our kids. In the off season, we share a lot of texts, funny texts and phone calls and catch up and where are you, what you're doing. So he's a dear friend and he's a wonderful guy and he's an outstanding broadcaster. And I worked with Matt prior to coming to Toronto. I worked with Matt. I did the WNBA with him, the New York Liberty for MSG Network for a few years. I also did a lot of college basketball with Matt when I first got out of coaching. So I knew Matt long before he even got hired by the Raptors. And when Chuck left, you know, they asked me about Matt because he was one of the names that was on the radar. And I said, if you can get him, he'd be a home run. I'll never forget telling my boss, Chris Heb, that at the time, that, you know, I said, Matt Devlin would be a home run for you. So, and he has been. And he's done a great, great job. And, you know, to me, I'm just really lucky to have him as a guy to work with night in, night out. And we've called a lot of games together. We've called a lot of big games together. We've called a lot of bad games together. That's part of the whole process of it. But he's incredibly prepared. He's super professional. He knows the sport too. You know, he's not just a guy who can understand statistics and call the actual play-by-play. He can also, he knows what he's watching and he can comprehend it and understand it. And he can sit and talk basketball with coaches and scouts and executives. He has that background. I'm not sure if you know, but a few of his brother-in-laws are college coaches. And so he really has a good sense of everything. And he can hold his own in any conversation. He's super bright. So it's been a blessing working with him.
You've been with the Raps and TSN since 2000. You graduated from Fordham University in Masters in Communication. Did you always kind of wanted to go in the media broadcasting route and always wanted to maybe be a broadcaster, or did that come as you know, older you've gotten throughout the schooling?
Well, you know, actually, someone has to fix my resume because I've been with them since 1998, not 2000. No, you know, the interesting thing is, I have a master's degree in communications. I have a bachelor's in history. So I can tell you when the War of 1812 was. But you know, when I got my master's, I was coaching at the time, and quite frankly, the only reason I got a master's in communications was that it fit our practice schedule. And, you know, that meant if sociology or getting a master's, you know, I had thought about law school or getting an MBA, you know, psychology, a lot of different things. But the communications program, the timing of the classes fit our practice schedule. So, excuse me, my desire all along was to be a basketball coach. I had no intention of ever doing what I'm doing right now. So to me, it was just a natural. I just fell into it, quite frankly.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's. I just had to ask because there's, you know, a guy like me from lonely old Brampton, Ontario, and I've always wanted to be a broadcaster throughout my life, and from when I was small, calling Leafs games, following Raptors, and so, you know, to hear that, you know, sometimes the path doesn't lead the way that you may want it to lead or may expect it to lead, but really it's leading in the way that could be a good way. So that's why I just wanted to, you know, see for yourself, of course. You know, coming obviously to Canada, you know, you're from the States, you're from New York, and coming from Canada, do you feel now after, by the way, not 2000, since 1998, from 1998, that, you know, Canada is truly, if not a home or a second home for you, and Toronto and the country really has embraced you?
Well, I feel like I'm an adopted son. You know, as you know, I live in Lewiston, New York. My backyard is Niagara on the Lake. So I stare out my window and I can, 400 yards over the Niagara River is Canada. So I'm in Ontario, in Canada all the time, and I feel like I'm an adopted son. I've been treated beautifully. The Canadian people are just so kind, so caring, so welcoming, so friendly, so fun, and I've had a blast. I really have. It's been just a I don't know. It's hard to explain it. I'm you see the Lou Gehrig, his retirement ceremony when he was a Yankee, and he says, "I'm the luckiest man on the face of the earth." And when I reflect on my 24 years calling Raptor games, and more importantly, really kind of being welcomed so nicely by everyone in Canada, I am the luckiest guy. Because there's a lot of places in the United States that, quite frankly, if you're a New Yorker, they're like, you're from New York, you're obnoxious. Or a lot of times in the United States, a New York accent doesn't play well in Seattle or Phoenix or Boston or whatever. Whereas in Canada, I think my voice is so unique and different, and my style is so different that it's kind of I don't know. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, people have been really nice about it and welcome me and really been truly supportive. So I'm grateful for that.
Absolutely. Well, we love you here, Jack. We love you. That's for sure. I want to touch upon the championship run. I'm gonna put my my computer up and down, as you can see the wall there. We got the hat, we got the cards, the ball, and everything, and got some Leaf stuff there too, of course. But this run was something, right, Jack? 2019, first NBA championship. Matty D said it the best. Canada, the NBA title is yours, and it was so long coming. Basketball was created by a Canadian, and finally the championship came home in 2019. How amazing was that for you to be a part of a championship broadcast?
Well, and Matt and I called Game 6 together on TSN in Golden State. It was the largest television audience for a basketball game in Canadian history. And, kind of like literally like an Olympic gold medal game or a, World Cup final game, that kind of impact.
Yeah.
So to be part of that was remarkable. But, it was interesting. It was the whole 6 years leading up to it. I mean, it started with a miraculous trade by Masai Ujiri, moving Rudy Gay and bringing in 4 pretty good players from Sacramento that kind of gelled beautifully. And the team went on a great run. And then they lost in 7 games to Brooklyn, and We the North began. And there were setbacks along the way, getting swept by Washington, shockingly, and then not being able to get by LeBron, and but it was still incredible, and you could just see the young people in Canada getting so caught up in the game of basketball. And then that final year, the year 6, where they actually won the title and the trade to get Kawhi Leonard and all that. It was a great run. And I always say to Raptor fans, and even the following year, quite frankly, the following year, if the pandemic didn't happen and all that, I mean, they were a great team. I don't know if they would have won the title, but I think they would have got back to the NBA Finals, where they surely would have been in the East Conference Finals. They were that good. They were really good. They were rolling. So to me, I say to people all the time, if I could snap my fingers and say, the Raptors are beginning right now a 7-year run like that, where do I sign up? And I would sign up for that again right now. So if this team right now is that team from 2014, I'm on board. Count me in. Because you're not going to win every year. You're not going to be the best team every year. But that doesn't mean you can't be in the hunt. that doesn't mean you can't be good and entertaining and fun and get people excited about the sport and keep growing and keep building. And I think they have great ownership and management and leadership in terms of coaching and all that to do those kind of things. So they have a lot of excellent things in place to continue to build. So, but that season, that run in the playoffs was just magical. And to me, it was something obviously from a career perspective that I'll never forget.
Absolutely. I had to ask because, in 2019, believe it or not, the same year, the junior A hockey team that I call with, the Oakville Blades, which is the same league that Matty D's son played with, the St. Michael's Buzzers, we won the Buckland Cup, which is the league, and the Dudley Hewitt, which is the Central. And then we went to nationals in Brooks, Alberta, and we won that all. And I was a part of the championship team as a play-by-play broadcaster. And now you see, us in the middle of the pack of the league, almost the same kind of as the Raptors. And I go to every arena and they're like, Nicholas, what's going on with the Oakville Blades? What's going on? I'm like, everyone just take a breath, relax. It'll be fine. And that's what I've said to my friends at the beginning of this season. It was loss after loss, kind of, to start a little bit. I said, guys, it's a new team, kind of. Let's relax, let's be calm, and let's see what comes into their own. And that's exactly, in my opinion, what the Raptors have done this year. They are proving that they are still a very good team. And as long as Masai is at the top, or one of the tops, in my personal opinion, I think the Raptors will still, always contend, because it's a winning culture now. And the winning culture always wants to stay there. In my opinion, I was going to ask you this season, if they keep on going, how much of a surprise can the Toronto Raptors really bring to the people watching?
Well, I agree with what you're saying. Masai and Bobby, those guys, the whole front office, Teresa, Dan, the whole crew, they've done an amazing job. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the coaching staff's sensational, Nick Nurse and his staff. And so they have a lot of good things in place to build with. I like this team if they're healthy. And, here's the thing. When you've watched this team healthy, they can play with anyone in the league.
Yeah.
So right now, if the season ended today, and we're doing this on Wednesday, March 2nd, if the season ended today, the Raptors would be the 7th team, and they'd have to obviously play their way in. Theoretically, let's say they play their way in. And now they're the 7th seed going against today's 2 seed, which is the Chicago Bulls. Do I think in a 7-game series, if the Raptors are completely healthy, they could take that series to 6 or 7 and maybe even win it? Yeah. So as I said, I'm happy to be there, because in 2014, that's what happened. They went 7 games with the Nets. And they had the higher seed. They were the 3 seed, and the Nets were the 6 seed, but the Nets were an overwhelming favorite. So to me, I think they have a lot of good pieces in place from a foundational perspective to have a really good playoff experience. And, a lot of things have to go right to win a round, to win another round, all that stuff. But there's a lot of good things in place right now that they have.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more, Jack. I was doing obviously some research, and excuse me, you watch TV and you see Jack Armstrong doing some commercials for the city of Toronto and city of Toronto government and all that. Have you ever imagined that you would have come to Canada, be with the Raptors, be with TSN for this long, and someone's going to just, shoot you a message and say, hey, Jack, you want to be a spokesperson, or you want to do some commercials for Toronto, Ontario?
That was amazing. And not only was it TV spots, it was in movie theaters and on the radio. And I'll never forget, Kyle Lowry walks up to me. We're getting on a charter. And he says, hey, I was at the movies last night. I'm like, okay. He goes, well, the movie's about to start. And I look up at the screen, and there's you doing a commercial for the city of Toronto about recycling. And he just started laughing. I said, I know. It's amazing. Hey, we just laughed. We just looked at each other and laughed. But he says, I can't even get away from you. I'm at the movie theater, you're there. So that one, and it was, I tell you what, I give the city a lot of credit. And I hope, when the pandemic ends, maybe we get that campaign going again, because recycling is a really important thing. but we had a lot of fun with it, and it was really imaginative and really well done. And I thought the whole campaign went over really, really well. So, yeah, no, I have to pinch myself, Nicholas. I say, like when that stuff happened, I was like, you got to be absolutely kidding me. But that's why I say, I'm the luckiest guy on the face of the earth.
Something else happened 3 times, which in my opinion is pretty darn cool. 3-time winner of the Canadian Screen Award for Best Sports Analyst in a Sports Program Series. Canadian Screen Award again from an American guy coming in. How honored were you to win these awards?
Well, win is one word, earn is another. And to me, the thing that I'm proud of is I feel like whether I won it or not, I always know in my heart whether you're nominated or not, or whether you win or you don't, because it's all hit and miss every year for everybody in all this stuff. But if you can look in the mirror and say, hey, I grind every day and I'm prepared and I do the best I can at my job, and I've worked my tail off and I've paid my dues and I've earned it. That's all that matters. So to win it 3 times and to even be nominated then another time for a 4th time, it's just an incredible recognition from your peers, from people that really understand the ins and outs of broadcast. And yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And nonetheless, the way I look at awards, they come and go. Dear friend of mine, many years ago, Lou Carnesecca, former coach at St. John's University in New York, a Hall of Famer. Lou is now, I think, 96 years old.
Wow.
And I went to Lou's camp as a kid, coached at his camp. I coached against Lou when I was the head coach at Niagara. And Lou always used to say, peacock today, feather duster tomorrow. So as important, as beautiful as that moment is where they call your name and you go up and you receive this beautiful gold trophy, don't take yourself too seriously because it comes and goes. And some years you're recognized and other years you won't be. But the key is, are you always committed to doing the job the right way? And are you all in and you professional? And because that's the business we're in. And, we're yesterday's news. And it's more important to me when I reflect on those trophies. I reflect on the great people I work with on my broadcast crew, the Matts and the Leos and the Paul Jones and the Eric Smiths and the Sherman Hamiltons and the Rod Blacks during that time I won, and all the people in the TV truck and all the camera people and everybody involved. It's a team effort. And I can't win it without all the great things that they do. And it's a team effort. So, I'm blessed to work with such top-notch pros.
Absolutely. I just want to touch upon a couple more things, Jack. And, I had to ask that because it's an honor that, maybe one day in the future, as I try to get up to the professional ranks that I want to get to one day. So it really is great to hear from you based on that. I would be remiss if not asking you about, these COVID times and broadcasting during COVID. How truly different has it been? Because you'd be calling games from the practice facility at the I would say ACC, but now Scotiabank Arena up there, and the team would be in Denver, let's just say. How crazy, good, bad, different has it been?
Well, it's been crazy. And speaking of crazy, Nicholas, I don't know if you know this, but while we're doing this show, I actually just was tested positive for COVID the other day. And I feel fine. But, it's been a crazy 2 years, calling games off of television sets in TV trucks in Oakville during the bubble, calling games remotely from the arena last year off a television set. not only doing TV for that, but radio. And then this year, going on the road early in the year, having fans at the Scotiabank Arena, and then Omicron hit, and then everything gets shut down again, and you're back calling it off a television set. And here I am. It's our first road trip back with the team since, since December. And I catch it, Matt catches it. So it's like Murphy's Law. You can't win. But nonetheless, you just got to keep rolling. You got to keep rolling. The show keeps going. It's showbiz. And we'll keep going. But it's been an incredibly difficult thing. And there are times when you call a game off a television set, you'll miss things because there are angles that you're not seeing. There are things that you're not privy to, conversations, interactions that aren't on the screen in front of you that are happening. When you're in the building, you're more cued into it. So I would just say I've tried to do the best job I can under the circumstances. And the other thing too is when there's not fans in the seats, it makes it harder to create the excitement, and it's harder for the viewer to feel the excitement. So the one thing I did try to do during this whole thing was stand. Anytime I did a game with a TV set, I would stand the entire game, just to keep my energy level up and my juices going, because I think that's part of who I am. So that was one of the things I tried to do.
Absolutely. If I would be remiss to not mention the Hello Jack merchandise. Obviously you said, and I love the Christmas time, the ugly Christmas sweaters and all that stuff. I got to get a t-shirt, by the way. I do got to get one. But, the Hello Jack merch, like you said, over this time, like you've done a commercial for Toronto, you've done, you've been with the Raptors for so long. Do you ever think you would have your own merchandise too now?
No, and the good folks at Intrepid, that was very funny. They just approached me at one point and said, we think this would be really popular. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then one thing after another, and they started doing t-shirts and hats and sweatshirts, and it just kind of blew up. So it's been a fun thing. And again, you don't know how it happens, but you ride the wave, right? It's all about riding the wave and being willing to say, hey, am I interested in doing something like this? And, it's always comes down to being with good people, and they've been wonderful, and we've had a great association. And thanks for mentioning that. Hello, Jack. It's fun. And a lot of people use them for gifts for different events, birthdays, Christmas, you name it, St. Patrick's Day. But we'll see how it goes. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, I'm pretty sure my aunt has one, because you did I don't know if it was a memo or it was a cameo for her a few months ago. My cousins got it done. Maria, my Auntie Mary, I think it was for her birthday, and she absolutely loves you, Jack. She loves you. So I would be remiss not to mention that as well. So you got fans, Jack. You do, okay? No.
Well, and I appreciate, Nicholas, the checks in the mail. If there's actually people out there that are fans, but no, it's it's interesting in the job that we have, and I've learned this from being a young basketball, baseball fan growing up in New York. Broadcasters have a big connection with fans, because players come and go, coaches come and go, executives come and go. And a lot of times the voice is synonymous and consistent with the team. I remember growing up in New York, and I loved the Yankees as a kid, and the Yankees were terrible at the time I started watching them. They had a guy named Phil Rizzuto, who was a great broadcaster and a fun guy. And I fell in love with the Yankees because of Phil Rizzuto. And obviously Marv Albert used to call the Knick games, and just those people made it so worthwhile. You think of being a kid growing up in Los Angeles, listening to Vin Scully call the Dodgers and Chick Hearn call the Lakers. I mean, there's generations of kids. So for me now, in Canada, now to meet people where there's 3 generations of a family that in some way, shape, or form, you've connected with them in terms of their basketball experience. That's a really big deal. I know it is to me, but it's a big deal. It's been really fun.
Absolutely, absolutely. I believe you're there. You go. So no, you know what, Jack, and you know, I just want to touch lastly on just advice for myself. I know I started this podcast about 1.5 years ago, and I'm at semi-pro lacrosse. I'm at junior A hockey, and I just want to be a professional broadcaster one day. And I love doing what I'm doing. I've spoken to obviously Matt Devlin, 9 former NHL players, a couple of Toronto FC players as well. I just want advice for you. Anything you can give me that to just, I guess, keep on plugging away.
Well, the most important thing is you got to have stick-to-itiveness and tenacity and grit and determination, because what do they say? For every bright light that shines on Broadway, there's 1,000 broken lights. There's always failure. There's always rejection. There's always setbacks. And a lot of times along the way, people give in and cave in and quit. So I would say, number one, it's going to be that how determined and how committed are you? Because it's a test. And there might be 999 rejections, but when you get to the 1,000th and someone says, you're in. And now it's you. So to me, I think a lot of times it just comes down to how committed are you to the grind, number one. Number two, I would say it's really important to seek out coaching. It's really important to have people evaluate your work and critique you. And you have to be willing to accept the critiques, both positive and negative, and grow from them and be your own biggest critic. But not only your own biggest critic, your own biggest fan. Because there's going to be times that you doubt yourself, and you got to be able to give yourself a pep talk once in a while too. And then thirdly, I just think try to create connections with mentors. And you got to be yourself. You have to be who you are. But to have people in the business that you can run stuff by and say, how do I improve on this? How do I improve on that? Life questions, professional questions. It's really, really important. So those would be a few things I'd say to you. But there's a lot of people that want to do it. And there's only a few jobs.
Yeah.
And I still am a believer in merit. I'm still a believer in hard work. I'm still a believer in that if you stay with it, sooner or later, someone will recognize it.
Well, thank you so much, Jack. Listen, wise words, that's for sure. And great advice that I'm definitely going to look back on and cut it out and take into my broadcasting life and broadcasting journey. I got wise words from Joe Bowen as well, the voice of the Maple Leafs that I've interviewed him during school, and I'm going to get him hopefully on the show as well. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you very much for coming on, for taking the time. I know during this time, unfortunately, although you are feeling fine, you still could have said no. But I really do appreciate you coming on my show because it really means a lot to me.
My pleasure, Nicholas, and all the best in your future endeavors. I know you're a big hockey guy, so I know you got a game later. So good luck with that tonight and continued success on your journey.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I know you're not at the court right now, Jack. Can we get some sort of hello? Get that garbage out of here. Is the voice cleared up or what?
Hello. Get that garbage out of here.
There we go. There we go. Thank you so much, Jack. Everyone, this was episode number 53 and Hoop Talk number 3. We've had Matt Devlin on Hoop Talk. We've had Cabral Richards on Hoop Talk. And now the one and only Mr. Jack Armstrong. I'm Nicholas Fiore, the host of Mamma Mia, This is Fire Talk. Visit www.mamamia.thisisfiretalk.com for your own Mamma Mia Fire merch. But if you want some Hello merch, then visit Hello Jack on Google, online, because that's where you can get it. Toronto Raptors NBA analyst and college basketball analyst on TSN, Mr. Jack Armstrong. Everyone, stay safe out there, and Mamma Mia. That was Hoop Talk on Mamma Mia. This is Fire Talk with Nicholas Fiore. Thank you for watching and listening, and stay tuned for the next episode.